Hello fellow gaijins, welcome back to the channel. Finally an educational video. It's been a while since I've talked about anything Japanese related on this channel, so I'm excited to talk about some really useful stuff that you can use if you go to Japan in a month or more, because you won't go now, I'm pretty sure. If you go to Japan, you will inevitably have to talk to employees in convenience stores or in any shop for that matter. The phrases that I will tell you about in this video will 100% come up, at least a few of them. I'll also talk about a few reactions that you can have to these phrases, so you can react to them in a very normal manner. So my PC had to tell me something, but where was I? I will also talk about a few phrases so you can answer to what the employees are telling you, so that you're not lost and can really whip out those good answers and feel like a native and feel good about yourself. When I was hit with a few of these phrases for the first time, I had no idea what to answer, and I was like, sumimasen? I didn't know what to say because I didn't understand the phrase, and they were just repeating the same thing, and I was like, yes, I guess. And then they just did something, and I had to figure out by myself what they meant. This video is more of a rambly one. I don't have a script or anything, so I will go into detail about those phrases and really tell you why they are used, how they are used, what they mean, and what grammar structures they use. So if you only want to have a list about stuff that you need to learn by heart and understand, then this might not be the video for you. But if you are interested in really learning these phrases and knowing why and how they are used, then this might be a really good video for you. First, before we get into the interactions, I want to talk about some phrases that are not concerning you too much, so you don't have to answer to them and you don't have to interact with them, but it is very important to know what they mean so you don't get confused when you hear them and don't think like, did she ask me something or did she tell me something, and stuff like that. It's just good to know them and get used to them because they will come up anywhere. A big thing that you will notice when you enter a store in Japan, whichever store it is, you will hear irashaimase. This is just the standard reply, or just the standard thing that an employee in Japan has to say or yell, depending on which store it is, when a new customer enters the shop. So that's just a greeting. It means a customer has arrived. It's more to let everybody know that the new customer is here, so they can attend to you if it's needed. And well, it's not something you have to worry about, but just be aware that they will yell this into your face whenever you enter a store in Japan. The next phrase happens when you are paying. So when you have your product chosen already and you're paying your money to the cashier, she or he will always say oazukari itashimasu or just oazukari shimasu when taking the product and scanning it or whatever she has to do with it. It roughly means I'll take care of the product while I handle it, and it's just like a standard phrase that Japanese employees say when they touch your stuff. So if you hear this phrase, just don't say anything. It just means I'll take the product and be careful with it. I was scrolling through my analytics lately and I saw that 88% of my watch time comes from people that are not subscribed. So if you are one of these people, please hit that subscribe button. It would really help this channel grow and also get new people into the community that we are building here. If you want to join the Discord for learning Japanese or just people that are interested in Japan, link is below in the description. The next non-interactive phrase is otsugi no kata dozo. Otsugi no kata means the next person. Kata just means person in a very polite way. And tsugi means next, so they're like, the next person please. One thing I forgot to mention is that most phrases on this list are keigo, so they are super ultra polite speech. So if you have never used keigo, most of these words are not in your repertoire yet, I think, but it's important to know a few rules about keigo. One rule is that most nouns when you use keigo have an o or a go in front of them, just so they sound more polite. This happens a lot. For example, okaike would mean the bill in a restaurant, but the actual noun is kaike. The o in front of it doesn't have anything to do with it. The same is with okane. Kane is the word for money, and the o in front of it is not needed, but everybody says okane. So when you use keigo, most nouns will have an o in front of them. And as you've seen, in order to be polite and respectful to the person they are talking to, they say otsugi. Another phrase that you will hear in general, not just in shops, but really often also used by friends and people that you don't know so well, is omatase itashimashita. So, omatase itashimashita. It basically just means sorry for letting you wait, thanks for waiting, you don't have to answer to it. So if you meet someone, a friend or anyone, just say omatase when you arrive and they are already there, because you don't know how long they've been waiting and it's just a polite way to go. Okay, those were all the non-interactables. So those are the things where you don't have to do anything. You just have to know that they are directed to you and what they mean so that you're not confused when somebody just talks to you about something. So if you know these, that's already a very good start, but there will always be questions that come your way when you're interacting with any employee. For example, let's say they ask you if you want a bag, or if they ask you if you have a card, or they ask you if you are old enough to buy alcohol, or they ask you about any stuff like that. You should know how to answer, first of all, and secondly, you should understand them. So I want to talk about the answers first so that I can then use them as examples when talking about the questions you will 100% face while you're there. The most typical answers from any customer would be "はい" and "いえ." Those just mean yes and no. You can use these with almost all the phrases on this list. They are kind of basic, so if you want to have a meaningful interaction with them and actually say what you want, they're not the most useful ones because you can just say no or yes. But they are definitely a very important tool to know because you can understand somebody and talk to them more or less. The next answer would be "arigatou gozaimasu." This just means thank you in a polite way. So arigato is just thank you, and arigatou gozaimasu would be thank you but politely. Very important phrase. You can use arigato as well if you want to. Arigatou gozaimasu. Just that. Just say, you can mumble it. You can just mumble rap your way into politeness with arigatou. That's enough. There is even a form which is azas. It means arigatou gozaimasu, but very short. And usually older people use this, and it's not very polite, but it sounds really cool. And if you use this with anybody, better not to use it with somebody you don't know though. But if you use it with anybody, they'll probably laugh because it's kind of funny. So if you want to impress someone, use azas. They'll definitely laugh about it if they're your friend. Another very, very important phrase you should be able to use is daijoubu or daijoubu desu. Daijoubu means I'm fine or it's okay. But in this case, daijoubu would be used as no. It is a polite way to say no thank you. So if somebody asks you, do you want to have a spoon with your food or anything like that, you can just say daijoubu desu and just do something like "iie daijoubu desu." No, it's fine. "Iie daijoubu desu." When I went there for the first time, I was always saying daijoubu desu, and I thought when they would ask me something and I say daijoubu desu, it means yes, please, it's fine if you do that. But in the end, they were always like not doing what I wanted, and I was kind of confused at first because it didn't make sense in my head. But after a while, I noticed that that just means no thank you. Another way to say no thank you, which feels harsher than daijoubu, would be kekko. So kekko desu. That just means no thanks. But yeah, it's kind of harsh, so it really means like no, it's fine kind of thing. Still polite, so you can use it if you want to. Me personally, I prefer the daijoubu. It just feels nicer. Another very, very important phrase that you should know is onegai shimasu. This is used all over Japanese. It's like anywhere you go, you will hear onegai shimasu because it means yes, please. If anyone asks you, do you need a fork or a spoon or a spork? You can just say onegai shimasu. Another very specific phrase, but also kind of an important phrase is ikura desu ka? Kore wa ikura desu ka? This is when you ask how much does this cost? How much is this? It's just very important to know this. If you're in a shop where the prices are not shown, it's always the same phrase. So ikura desu ka? Kore wa ikura desu ka? Sore wa ikura desu ka? Are wa ikura desu ka? And they'll just tell you the price. Very standard stuff. Then if you want to ask if they have a certain item, you can say wa arimasu ka? So for example, ice cream wa arimasu ka? Do you have ice cream? Omizu wa arimasu ka? Pan wa arimasu ka? Pokemon card wa arimasu ka? It's very useful to know this phrase so you can just ask them and don't have to use an hour to go through a 4-story building to search for one little thing. Yeah, I've done that before and it's not very fun because Japanese stores sometimes can be very confusing about their layouts if you're not used to them. The last thing you should be able to use when interacting with an employee is a very useful sentence that goes like kono mama de ii desu. It just means it's fine the way it is. This is very useful if you just want to say just don't do anything. Just leave it the way it is. Okay, now that we're done with the answer stuff that you should know so you don't get lost after being asked a question or just in general having to interact with somebody in a shop, let's get into the the very important phrases that will come up all the time that they will ask you. They will wait until you answer. So it's very important that you know what they're saying, and it's also very important to know how to answer to them. The word plastic bag in Japanese would just be fukuro. It's a really easy word, and usually they will just give you a bag or two, especially in convenience stores. They always whip out the bags before they do anything else. But they will ask you one question which comes up more often than you think, and that is, do you want to split the bags in warm bag and cold bag? So the warm products in one bag and the cold products in another bag, so they don't get mixed and have a clash of temperature with each other. They ask this more than other stuff that feels more important. The question they will throw at you is, fukuro o wake shimasu ka? Fukuro o wake shimasu ka? Again, the O is just for politeness, o wake, and fukuro means plastic bag. So do you want to split your plastic bags? And wakeru means to split. So yeah, fukuro o wake shimasu ka? O wake shimasu is a very polite form of saying wakeru. They could also theoretically just say fukuro o wakemasu ka? That's less polite though, and it's not really keigo. A normal answer would just be yes, so you can just say hai. So if somebody asks you fukuro o wake shimasu ka? Hai, onegai shimasu. Yes, please. Or if you don't want that, you can say ie, daijoubu desu. Ie, daijoubu desu. Usually, as I said, they just give you a bag, but if they ask you if you want one, they will ask you one of these two questions. Fukuro wa irimasu ka? Or fukuro wa hitsuyou desu ka? Again, you can just say ie, daijoubu desu if you don't want one, and hai, onegai shimasu if you want one. Another thing that relates to bags would be hashi, which are chopsticks, and forks, spoons, knives, and all that stuff. So they might ask you something like o hashi o ire shimasu ka? Or forku o ire shimasu ka? So the next question is something that you will be asked if you buy something that has to be warmed up. So it's basically, do you want to warm it up? Or should I warm it up? The most standard one would be atatamemashou ka? And another one that could come is atatamemasu ka? Atatameru means to warm up. The way you could go about recognizing this phrase is just listen for atata or atatame. For me, this was the easiest way to understand that they were talking about warming up something, because sometimes they say it strangely or very fast, or yeah, it's just sometimes it's hard to understand. So just look for this atata and you will know this is, do you want to warm this thing up? Something that you should know is that osake, or alcohol, in Japan is for people that are over 20. So if you're older than 20, you can drink. If you're not 20 yet, you cannot drink. But they don't really ask for ID there. They just want you to press a button on a screen and then they will give you your drink without asking any questions. So it's not very secure. Japanese people just have this real honesty about them. I don't know, they're scared to really drink if they're not 20 yet, because it's just not something you do there. Most people really wait until they're 20 and then they go drinking. In the Western countries, I don't think that's the case with becoming 18 or 21 in America. But in Japan, most people really wait. Like all my friends that were not 20 yet, they said, I'm gonna wait until I'm 20. And that's the way they did it. They waited and then they drank when they reached 20. But that's not what I'm talking about this. It's more about a phrase that they will ask you to press that button. Botan o oshite kudasai. And the second phrase that they could ask you to do is gamen o tachi shite kudasai. When you buy a beer or any form of alcohol there, they will say one of these two phrases or something related to them. Just listen for the word botan or gamen. Gamen means screen. So whenever they talk about a screen in a convenience store, it can only mean that one screen that is in front of you, and there will be a huge virtual button on it that has a hai in Romaji and Kanji, probably, depending on the convenience store, of course, but usually that's the way it looks, and it just says something about you being the right age to be able to drink. Just press the button, give them the money, and go away. They will not require your ID or anything else, usually. Unless you probably look like a 5-year-old, then they might ask you, but I've never experienced it myself. But I don't look like a 5-year-old, I think. The last interactive question that will happen on this list anyway is Pointo card wa omochi desu ka? Do you have a point card? This happens in a lot of restaurants, stores, and almost every convenience store you will go to. So it's important to know what they mean. You can just say no because you probably will not have a point card, but who knows, maybe you'll make one if you live there for more than a few months or something. So yeah, Pointo card wa omochi desu ka? All right, this was a lot of information. If you don't recall everything I said, just write it down in a little booklet that you can take with you. You will get used to it very quickly. It's always the same procedure. They will ask you, do you have a point card? Do you want to warm up your food? Do you need a bag, or do you want to split the bags? It's always the same stuff, but it's very important to know it because you will be very confused if you don't know what the heck they're asking you to do. And they will be very confused because most people in convenience stores just don't speak English. There are a lot of foreigners in convenience stores, but they should be able to speak some degree of English, but they don't because that's just their policy. They try to be strictly on the Japanese stuff. I've never experienced a employee in a convenience store to speak any English to me. So they always go with the Japanese route, even though they might be foreigners. So it's very interesting. Just learn this stuff. It's very, very useful for you, I think, if you plan to go to Japan, of course. If you've learned something new from here, smash that like button. It would really, really help out with the algorithm. The algorithm loves the likes and the comments. So if you want to tell me anything, comment below. I would love to read the comments, and it really means a lot to me. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Mata ne!